Now, complications of dehydration, raised cholesterol that I explained, heart failure that I tried to explain, chronic fatigue that I did try to explain, cancers, multiple sclerosis, osteoarthritis, and so on and so on. Cholesterol, I explained, becomes the adhesive material that sticks the cell together. If cholesterol wasn't there, this cell would die very quickly. It'll disintegrate. Cholesterol has other functions. It converts to, under the influence of sunlight, converts to vitamin D. Vitamin D goes through the cell membrane on its receptor. Its tail sticks out. Calcium sticks to the tail of the vitamin D, and all the other elements stick to the tail of the calcium, and the whole thing is taken in as a train, as a food train. So cholesterol is a vital element in the human body as a mechanism of converting sunlight to within the food metabolism of the body. So sunlight is absolutely essential. So people who've got high cholesterol, it means that they're actually low in energy level. They need to go out in the sunlight and get a little more of their cholesterol converted to vitamin D and enhance their food chain activity. By the way, cholesterol is also the element from which all the hormones are made. Cholesterol is the element that the body uses as an insulating membrane on all its nervous tissue. So cholesterol has got a monumental role in the human body. There is absolutely no such thing as bad cholesterol. The idiots who use it should be hanged. Cancer. As I explained, I presented at the cancer conference the explanation that cancer in the body is produced by dehydration. And water and salt are better medications for cancer than anything you can imagine. Cancer cells are primitive cells, genetically selfish. In other words, they're unsophisticated cells. Through our cultural development, cells of the body have learned to perform a role within a capacity of function. As we become dehydrated, we reduce that integration of activity, and gradually we force cells to become immature and primitive. They live in anaerobic environment and low oxygen needs. If oxygen reaches cancer cells, it'll kill them. And that's why they've been trying to treat cancer with hyperbaric oxygen, things like that. But the best way is to increase water intake. It will take oxygen to the cancer cells. Cancer cells in culture reveal stem cell properties. In other words, if they don't have to go and take fetal tissue, they can take cancer tissue and produce stem cells. In cell cultures, if they don't give the right deficiencies to the cancer cell, it'll immediately become a stem cell. In order to produce cancer, we need 4 things that must not be there, or it's a multi-system dysfunction. First and foremost, DNA damage, as I explained. Then we have got a repair mechanism that is deficient. Then we've got receptor downregulation because the cancer cell becomes primitive, and then the immune system suppression. DNA damage is produced by excess acidity in the cell. You've seen these monuments, stone monuments, when pigeons sat on them and the pigeon droppings defaced the monuments. The acid ate into the stone. Now, our cells are less hard than the stone. They get more readily damaged by the hydrogen ion that is produced in the acid environment inside the cell. So there is DNA damage as a result of dehydration. The tripod lysine, tryptophan, lysine is the enzyme that recognizes DNA damage and transcription indiscretions and cells that are not normally integrated into the system, and cuts and splices and repairs the DNA damage, this enzyme system. Now, In dehydration, we lose tryptophan because it's used as an antioxidant. We lose a whole lot of amino acids that in dehydration are sacrificed. So the DNA repair mechanism becomes damaged as a result of dehydration because the elements that should be there are used in another capacity. Then another problem is autonomy of the cell. Histamine produces a lot of calcium release, as I explained, that calcium is being used as an energy source. And individual calciums stimulate protease activity in the cell membranes. And protease activity converts protein kinase C, which is a normal, well-functioning and integrated normal cell, and uses protein kinase C for its activities. Proteases destroy this and convert it into a protein kinase M, which is a much smaller protease that manufactures protein. And this, unfortunately, is an autonomous protein kinase. It doesn't obey commands from outside. Stop producing more of this. The cell doesn't recognize its boundaries. It doesn't have any inhibitory actions on it. It constantly begins to replicate. This is unfortunately as a result of excess calcium activity in the cells. Receptor downregulation, you know, I showed you earlier that all cells have got receptors in their fluid environment. They need that receptor in order to communicate. In dehydration and lack of resources, these receptors are not manufactured anymore. So the cells don't become integrated anymore. They are less integrated. And as a result of that, the cell becomes autonomous. There is no controlling mechanism to stop it from excess activity. Then we've got the interleukin-1 activity, which continues to break down tissues. Interleukin-2 activity is suppressed, which is vital as a mechanism of defense. Interferon production is suppressed as a result of dehydration. So we have 3 of the elements that can cause cancer that are produced in dehydration. Andrew Bowman is a 42-year-old gentleman. This is a very historic case history. He is probably the first one that will show you how dehydration in the 4th dimension of time, dehydration that initially revealed itself in childhood and by the age of 40 produced a whole host of damage in the guy and eventually caused his problem.